Alright, so here's GarageBand, and for the sake of having audio right now, I already had to have a project set up, but all you have to do is go up to New, and then I always create an empty project in order to just set it up however I want, but they also have a bunch of separate templates I would recommend going in and checking out. But I clicked New Project, or Empty Project, sorry, and then Software Instrument, and then in which case I think it had like this vintage classic electric piano up. Obviously, being a piano player, I just clicked piano and then went over to Steinway grand piano. Next, what you'll see here, again, just for the sake of you being able to hear good, clear audio, I just have this audio, which you can see is just doing the mic there. But quick setup. So I said you can just buy a cheap mic, a MIDI controller, plug it into your computer. You should be able to should be good to go. If you're using a USB mic, super easy. Like I said, plug it in, and then we'll go over the settings here. The only additional thing you want to the nicer mic you have, like these condenser mics and stuff like that, a lot of times they need what's called phantom power, 48 volt phantom power. And so remember I told you I had that Apogee Duet? Well, I bought that because it's Mac specific for latency and those types of things. And it also has built-in phantom power, in which case it just supplies the condenser mic with enough power, extra power, for it to do its thing. So if you have a USB mic, not a problem. If you get a mic that needs phantom power, it'll say it right on the box, in which case you buy either a separate phantom power just to plug the mic in to give it enough juice, or you get an audio interface, which for the nicer the mic you have, you need an audio interface, in which it's just exactly like it sounds. An interface, you plug your mic into it, and then it sends all that nice sounding information just from a normal mic hookup through USB into your computer. So let's take a look here. Again, your basic GarageBand setup. You're going to go into preferences, and really what you want to go into this audio MIDI, and then your output device. Again, mine's set up for the purpose of making this video. My normal setup would be the output device would be through, if you have an audio interface, you're going to want it to go out through the audio interface. But usually it'll be system setting. And your input device will absolutely be, if you have audio interface, it's going to be your audio interface. Or if you just have that plug-in mic, well, now you're going to click the name of your mic. As you can see here, built-in microphone. My webcam has a microphone as well, so you'd want to click your specific mic, USB mic that you have plugged in there, and when you click those, it makes all the changes for you there. I would recommend having this enable audio units clicked for future videos. That is what you're going to need in order to download instruments, better sounding pianos and things like that, in order to make a good video. And as far as MIDI, with technology now, it's all recognizes itself. As you can see here, when I turn off my keyboard here, you see up in the upper right hand corner, automatically adjusts. Hey Phil, you change the number of MIDI inputs. When I turn it back on, there we go. Change the number of MIDI inputs, and then it's saying, hey, do you want to connect to that keyboard? Obviously, yes, I want to connect to the keyboard. So the purpose of this video, do some music. So that's the basic setup. Output device will be more than likely system setting for you. An input device, if you have an audio interface, click it. If you have that plug-in USB mic, you're going to click your plug-in USB mic. Then we can exit out of that. And the last setting I would absolutely recommend changing that's not default on here, you're going to right-click any of the tracks, and you're going to go to Configure Track Header. And then make sure that this Record Enable button is on. You're going to want it. And then if you're doing the mic as well, have that input monitoring checked too if it isn't already checked. What that does is see mine's turned on right now. It allows you to hear through your headphones or through your speakers exactly what's coming through the mic. Now, when I'm actually recording and playing piano and recording voice, I don't have that. I find it distracting to hear myself through the headphones. So you'll see that I'll usually have just one ear out, and then I hear the music, the piano music and all that through my headphones, and now I can just sing normal. But if you like hearing yourself, if you have reverb and things like that on, and you like hearing yourself, we'll have that input monitor enabled right there. So that's the purpose of that. So, like I said, so basic setup. I have a mic plugged in on the input there. I have a MIDI controller, and I have the piano selected here. You'll see me have just both record enabled just because, again, for the purpose of recording this video. But, so now, when I go on the piano, I hear whatever sound I have selected there. If I wanted to do strings, I can go to orchestral, strings, string ensemble. It'll make the change in. So, again, GarageBand already comes with just a load of instruments, and I mean, I wish that I had access to this DAW when I first started. Now, I use Logic for a majority of my recordings, and all it is a beefed up. The interface is almost the exact same as GarageBand. It's just a beefed up GarageBand, and it's amazing. But the purpose of this video is to show you that you can make a pretty good recording with just GarageBand. So this controls, obviously, volume. So the very first thing I do when I'm just doing, we're actually just going to write a little song right now, probably just piano. But this 1, 2, 3, 4 says that when I click record, it's going to do a count in. So imagine measure 0, and it's going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then start here. You'll see that right now. So now it starts 1, 2, 3, and that's just recording my audio there. Delete that because I don't need it. That's recording live right now. I don't know if it's a basic setup, but how I just got it snap back to 1 is I just press enter on the keyboard there. Oh, the last thing I wanted to do is show keyboard. So what I've thought about doing actually is, I don't know about tutorials, but now you can see what I'm playing. Okay, so back to this. So the basic setup. I have my MIDI controller and a mic and a DAW. Those are the 3 basic things you need in order to do good music. And like I said, eventually you would just record into this DAW, export it as an MP3, and then I'd bring up like Movie Maker or something like that, iMovie, and have the video there, import that MP3 that I recorded, and then just line up. You'll see a lot of people in their videos, or like I even did at the beginning of this video, is I do a clap. That way, the clap of the audio, I see that signature. Like you can see here. Let me turn off the metronome. So I would see this mark right here, and I would line up those 2 claps, and now that nice recorded crisp MP3 is perfectly in line with the video from, in this case, my iPhone. And now I can turn off the video of the iPhone, and all we'll hear is what you hear right now, that nice crisp recording coming through here. We'll do I'll do another video later on the specifics of how I record and that type of thing, but now let's get into the point of this video. Recording a nice the basics of recording in GarageBand, and then how we can get a good sound from here. So the next thing I do is obviously I pick a tempo. So in this case I would turn on the metronome, and I just press play. I listen to the click there, and now I can click and hold, and I can drag up and down to slow it down, or down to slow it down, up to speed it back up. So let's say That sounds about good. Spacebar to stop it, enter to take it back. So now I have my tempo. I don't generally use the count in very often, but it is a tool that you can use if you would like. Yeah, so now I have the tempo all set up, and I have my piano sound. I don't have to edit the sound right away. And now you're going to hear me mess up a lot because I'm just going to record a little something just to show you. I'm just sounding out something. Actually, I'm going to turn off the mic so we can just hear the piano. Then when I need to talk again, we'll do that. Okay, so let's say I've been messing around there, and that's what I want to record. Now let's make sure the tempo's right. That's too fast. And now the good thing about playing on tempo is, let's say that this is slightly too slow after I record it. Well, I can just speed it up later, as long as I'm, because I've set that tempo there. So, again, I'm going to turn off the mic for this so we just get a nice crisp of the piano. Then I'll turn it back on. So I'm just going to record that little bit that I just made there. That was way too slow. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, in Logic, I can tap the tempo. That's why I'm kind of struggling with this. But here we go. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dun, dun. So at that speed, I could do that, or I could do 75, which is half, and it would just be slow. But I prefer it a little quicker like that, like I was counting in my head. So now let's get that knocked out. And I'll usually let it kind of go until I stop hearing the piano sound. And now one thing I didn't add is I do have a sustain pedal as well, and that just plugs in the back of my MIDI controller, just acts like a normal piano pedal. Again, not something you absolutely need. If you're a piano player, you absolutely need it. But that's what, if you don't know what a sustain pedal does, there's me not just pressing a G chord, not pressing the pedal, and then when I press the pedal, so it lays out that sound. So when I did that last chord, the note goes, as soon as I let go of the pedal, it stops. So purpose of that. And now when you're recording, you won't hear the metronome. That's purely, so when I turn this off, now we can just listen to the piano. And let's say that's slightly too fast. I don't like that, so I'll just drag this down. There we go. All right, so, and now, again, here's the advantage of using MIDI. I told you before I would take the motif and I would just record directly in the computer. Well, awesome. Hopefully people appreciate it, a live performance, like a truly live performance. However, if I made any mess-ups that were like really drastic, I'd have to record the whole video over again because it's like, and I'd be like, ah! The advantage of MIDI, I make that mistake and I just double click that track there, and now we have this whole piano roll here. If I drag this to the left, I can make it smaller. Scroll up, and so now I click those notes. There's the individual notes of what I just played. So let's say that note right there, I actually want it to be up. So here we go. Go back here. Well, that wasn't the right note. Dun. There we go. Dun. Welcome to recording with me. So that's a huge advantage of using MIDI. All right, so let's say now we've laid down that piano track, and I do not remember how to get this up. Just a second. Window. There we go. View, Smart Controls, B. All right, so now what we want to focus on is getting that piano to sound the way we want to. Again, using just that stock piano. So what I can do is have this playing, and I can be editing things down here like ambiance and reverb to get it a little more smooth sounding and a little more, we'll say, new agey in this case. That, increasing that low. There we go. I like the way that sounds. All right. So, again, powerful free DAW at your disposal when you have Garageband here. Let's see here. So, all right, so now EQ. This is, again, huge on getting a good sound from just this stock piano. And so, again, I'll have it play, and then you'll see for a lot of stuff, it already has a general setting for it. There we go, keyboard. So usually I'll just cycle through this grand piano EQ1 down to grand piano for my type of music. Or what I could do is, another one I use a lot, if I just going for this just piano solo type of thing. Sometimes I'll this make warmer sounds pretty good, so you'll hear me cycle through all those, and then I'll just listen, and then I'll pick what sounds best to me. Didn't really hear too much of a change there. A little too bright for my taste right now. Usually I would like that. And I can turn it off and on to hear the original with no EQ. So it's already pretty warm from the ambiance and stuff we added. So let's go back to this one I think I liked. There we go. You can also adjust, again, I am now zero expertise on producing. I always hit up my buddy Chad Beal of Line 19 Entertainment because the guy's phenomenal on the intricacies of recording and mixing and all that. But the more you learn, you can edit these EQ curves to get the perfect sound. The basics I do know is if I wanted the low end to be a little more full sounding, and now I can actually see the curve increasing down here. I have a lot of high end right now. If I wanted to just decrease, see how flat sounding that's sounding. So you can get your perfect sound just by moving your EQ curves around too. Okay. And again, I want that really ambient sound, is why it's a lot of reverb and stuff on there for this case. So, if you're, let's say I wanted to add some strings in now just to get a nice little feel there, I'll click the plus sign. I want another software instrument. Always goes to that basic electric piano sound. So now I'll go over to orchestral strings. What was? I like more of the string ensemble. All right. So go back to controls here. So the chords of this song were, whoops, let's go to piano. G, E minor, and then a B minor. Technically a B minor 7 because I threw that A in there. C, and then C over D. For the verse, we'll say there. So I'll throw that metronome back on. You can also just click K to throw that on. And now here's that record enable. So right now I'd be recording piano. If I click this track, the piano is no longer recording, but now the string ensemble is. And so I'll click record, and we'll start hearing the metronome again. Okay. Let's see here. I thought maybe you could. Guess you can't. On Logic, you can change the colors of these. I'm not sure if you can in GarageBand, but it doesn't matter. We have them labeled here. All right, so now I'll turn the metronome off again, and see what we got here. Oh, I can delete that audio again. So it's going to sound exact the same. So what I'll do is I'll mute the grand piano because now I want to focus on getting a good sound. I'll include or increase, get this to get a little more flowing, increase the ambiance and reverb, a little more sustain. I want the release to be a little bit later on these. There we go. Now it's going to flow a little more. Same thing we did before. EQ. The common one I do use on strings is that make warmer. There we go. Nice, warm. It's a little more, sounds more like a pad, but that's usually the sound I go for. So let's see how it sounds with the piano again now. Again, I'm not going in a lot of super detail on what I'm doing here. That'll be in a later video, but just showing you that you can get some pretty good sounding stuff from a free DAW, and these instruments come with GarageBand. So the last thing I'll kind of do here, just real quick, is edit the amount, the volume of those strings so they kind of fade in and they fade out. Now, if you have a MIDI controller that has a little mod wheel where you can do that, I can have it, it will just read my motions with that. So I can have it start real low and press record and then start increasing the volume, and it will annotate all those changes. So again, a MIDI controller is super powerful when it's in it. All it is just plugged in with one USB port. So what I'll do here is manual. So how I got this up is I clicked A, which is automation. And it brings up this guy right here. I can click what I want to automate here. Volume's usually the default, so if it's not, you can go click volume, click on that line that's kind of grayed out to bring it up there, and now when I click on it again, it makes a dot, and when I drag it down, this is the volume. You can see the volume knob over here. I'm adjusting as I make that change. So I want it to fade in. Up here I can see my measures. I'm going to have it fade in initially. We'll see how it sounds over 2 measures. It started off too low. There we go. And now actually, I'm going to see how it sounds. I want it to actually just fade back out there. Fade back in here, and then I'm just gonna have it stay one volume. And this is all on how you want it to sound. And when it goes to that kind of middle part there, I'm gonna just have it fade down to pretty low. So here's where this new piano part starts. So another thing you can do is just have it snap there, so I know exactly where to click now. The thing to note, if you notice here, if I play it right here, it's in the middle of these MIDI notes, so it will not play unless the playhead crosses where that note's actually actuated. So if I press here, no strings, I have to put it right before those notes there, and now it'll play those strings. Now another thing I can do now is that's a little too low. I can have it play and increase this. I can just click and drag this line. You'll see me click and drag the line and bring it up. fade out there. And now, in my head, I'm thinking I want it to fade out on that last chord, and then just pop back in and be back to this volume here, which was, I'm used to Logic. It tells me that exact value. That's fine. So I want it to fade out this sound. You can see when I drag that there, it's going to hit that note, and I'll just put it right before. Keep moving it left now, right before it pops back up, and now I have that change back up there. Now I can drag both of left click and hold, drag a rectangle over both of those notes, and then drag that to the edge of that MIDI note, and I can also zoom in to make sure those types of things. Okay, let's see how this sounds. So all I did was zoom in to get a lot more precise there with that. Zoom back out. So I will have that fade out about that far, and then I'll make one more note and just drag it all the way down to the bottom. And the piano, I'm listening to it, and this is why I let it naturally go. And then my technique, about a measure before I clicked off of the pedal there. So it's normal volume here. Actually, we'll start fading out here. So natural fade out, and then I'll just do my own fade out to 0. There we go. Now it's fading out. Click A to get out of that again. And then I'll turn off the mic and let's just hear what we got. Okay, so I think that's all we're going to do for this. Again, I just wanted to show you how using a free DAW and the instruments included, you can get some really, really good sounding stuff. I guess the only thing I didn't go over is doing vocal, which I'll do that in the following video now. But let's say this was solely a piano video, and that's what I wanted to do. The last thing I would do here, let's see here, I would click master like I did down there, And on here I would click EQ. On the pull down here, I would look at mastering, and then just pick the genre you're doing. Let's say this is a ballad, and it's just gonna do the final master and make it, I don't know, do mastery things. Again, I'm not a producer. I leave that up to Chad. And you may not notice a difference on it, but yeah, so the last thing I'll do here, I'm finished with the video now. So what I'll do is what I told you I always do with my videos. I will export this and overdub it over the original video where I was playing that, and just let you see how that sounds overall. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to stop by my website or shoot me a comment on things you would like to see. But I'm thinking for the next video, I am going to kind of do a review of an instrument I downloaded because I was quite disappointed, and I'll explain to you why in that next video. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. All right, one last thing. So remember when we slowed down the song to 135? Well, in order to overdub it on the video, I had to speed it back up to 150, or else it would have just all been mismatched. So this playback is going to be the song sped back up to 150, just so you can see how I overdubbed that nice audio with the strings over that original piano recording we did. So here's that sped back up to 150, even though we originally slowed it back down to 135.